Johnny, have people lost fundamental trust in their governments? Yeah, their governments. Well, I think there is a general distrust, Johnny, that's crept in over the years. Why, you and I can remember, Johnny, back there when we were kids in the 60s on the farm. There was no question. I don't remember our parents ever talking about a lack of bloody trust in the government. People just had a natural trust in the government. In their governments. In the government.
Nothing is quite as it seems to be.
What do you mean by that? It's only in later years, Johnny, that we've developed a fundamental distrust for the bloody government because things seem to be put in place very bloody innocently, way back in whenever. What are you talking about? And as time goes on, these things tend to shift and change and end up not being the bloody thing we were thinking about in the first place. Yeah, by Jesus. Have a look at immigration. I mean, it came in years ago that we've got to start helping our people from around the world. A bit bloody, yeah. We've got to share our resources and our wealth and all that sort of shit. And it's the best thing to do. And everybody back then, we all thought, yeah, that's a good idea. Thinking they were talking about, I don't know, 1,000 people coming in. Oh, Johnny, come on. Now, we've got 250,000 coming in every fucking year.
Nothing is quite as it seems to be.
That's a city the size of bloody... now you mention it. Yeah. That's an example of something being put in place years ago, and now it's just... it's fundamentally different from what they first come out and said. Well, when you put it like that.
Friday's ballots counted, and the result, the highest percentage of no votes in any Irish referendum.
Well, it does seem a bit bloody, yeah.
Nearly 68% voted no to the family amendment, nearly 74% against the care amendment.
People get a little bit alarmed and say, oh, what the fuck are they doing? I don't want anything to do with that. Once you start messing around with these bloody things, people get suspicious. We get suspicious here at the Ask Johnny channel. All of us. All of the staff. And we just had a referendum here in Australia, Johnny, that got defeated, got its ass kicked. And I think, especially with me, and probably you too, Johnny, that my bloody main problem was I was suspicious of what it was going to lead to in 3 years, 4 years, 10 years down the track, when things have changed, and they've changed in a way that you didn't think about in the first place. Well, it just shows, I suppose, that governments can't change things just by... But that's not the main thing. It's stuck in my bloody craw, Johnny, about this bloody Irish referendum. What stuck in my craw was this bloke coming out and saying this.
It was our responsibility to convince the majority of people to vote yes, and we clearly failed.
Well, it just shows. Yeah, and now as soon as he said that, I began thinking, I don't think that's right. I don't think it's a government's bloody job to convince people to believe in what the government is putting forward in the referendum. The government's job is to ask the people what they think, not to try and fucking convince them to the government's line of thinking. If we do that all the time, we'll really be in a shit. Yes, by Jove. If we do that all the time, then the government may as well not even fucking ask us. Well, what is it he said again?
It was our responsibility to convince the majority of people to vote yes, and we clearly failed.
I would say that is pretty bloody dumb to come out with something like that. His job is not to bloody convince the bloody Irish people how to think. His job is to ask the Irish people what they think. Yeah, what are the reasons for bloody changing the bloody constitution? That's the biggest load of fucking bullshit I've ever heard, even from an Irish Prime Minister.
At last you're beginning to understand. You understand that nothing is quite as it seems to be.